I graduated from high school. I really had a career in mind at that time, which was actually to be a professional philosopher. It's very, very ambitious because it's an extremely competitive field. And I worked at that for about a decade and I had a lot of success. I came very close to sort of sealing the deal. And then something very traumatic happened in my life, and I decided I needed a change and I needed a change right away. And at that point, I had invested in an undergraduate degree and a master's in philosophy. And I was like, what the heck am I going to do with this? I love this. This is my passion. This is what I'm built for. And I need to be able to take care of myself. I need to be able to make money. And so I did a little bit of researching, and I determined that a master's of social work would be the least amount of time and schooling to step into a career that could meet my basic needs. And that was truly why I picked it. And it ended up being a really great fit. I could not have imagined how much I would enjoy it or the things that I might learn. And I do, in fact, get to use my training in philosophy every single day with every client. So I consider that to be excellent beginning academic training to be a therapist. I am really proud that even when I have been very afraid, questioning, am I doing the right thing? Is this the field for me? That I just let myself feel those emotions, hold that in my body, and relied on my training to figure out a path forward. So I am proud of not letting my emotions run away with me and choosing to stay effective in the face of some very scary clinical situations. And I have learned through doing that it's okay not to know what to do or what the best intervention is, as long as you can disclose that appropriately to your client. So saying, gosh, I'm really sorry to hear that you're going through this. I feel really afraid, thinking about what could happen if we don't get this sorted out. I'm really concerned for you. I don't know where we go from here, but I'm in this with you and we're going to find out. Let's talk together, client, about how we can work as a team to determine what the next steps are. And what I have found is the willingness to continue to work with someone through a situation like that, that's the medicine. Because people who are really struggling have walked in often to many offices or talked to many friends and scared them so badly with what they had to say that those other doctors and therapists and friends just go, whoa, that's out of my pay grade. That's too much. And so I am proud of myself just being willing to tolerate distress and choose to stay effective. Something I really love about Mindfully and helps keep me connected even through really hard times is how supportive we are and how much supervision and consultation we offer. I mean, we will give you an abundance. We will give you more than what you want or need, if that is what is required. There are many practices where it's quite difficult to get supervision, and even if you do get it, it might not be very high quality or tailored to your specific questions or what you're going through. So, of course, all of our dependently licensed folks are assigned a supervisor, right? So they are given access to that right out the gate. And then for independently licensed folks like myself, I still rely on consultation and supervision all the time. I go to people I consider to be, my bosses, so to speak. I go to Greg and CJ and Charity and Charles basically every week for support. Sometimes I just ask people, does what I did make sense to you? Does my plan make sense to you? And all I need is for someone else to nod their head, that little 5-second interaction, and I feel the stress come out of my body. Having more eyes on a challenging case is a safety measure for yourself as a human being, as a therapist, and for your clients, because we all get tired, we all miss things, we all have gaps in our learning and our education, and that is not a sign of us being inadequate in any way. That's just the human condition. And so you are investing in yourself by inviting appropriate supports in as is needed. I started it Mindfully right at the beginning of the shutdown, and really a big piece of why I made the decision to accept the job was because it was strictly tele, and so that just was the thing to do at the time. And I was like, I've never done this before, but I guess I'm doing it now. I was newly independently licensed, and that first year was like a crash course in private practice. Yes, I had been a therapist for several years at that point, doing, face-to-face individual therapy with folks. And private practice is different, and tele is different, and being independent and having a high degree of responsibility is different. And I quickly became aware that I needed to lean on more seasoned therapists to make effective choices, to do things to the highest ethical standards possible. And gosh, I was initially in Greg's supervision pod. When we first piloted the pod structure for supervision, Greg was my supervisor, and he's a very different person from me and a very different social worker from me. But gosh, if his recommendations are not good, he is very kind. And what I realized working in my home office, never seeing anybody else, was that if I wanted to feel safe talking about hard things that were happening at work and inviting people in to give me supervision, I needed to know them a little bit and feel comfortable. And the burden was on me during this strictly only tele time to reach out, to ask people to talk with me, etc. And I realized that if I didn't ask people to come on, we were using Zoom in daily code at the time. If I didn't ask someone, would you mind doing this over Zoom so I can see your face? I'd love to talk. I would never see them. And that face-to-face connection is essential for social bonding. And so I just got into the habit of, if we can find a time to schedule that hour, have a cup of coffee, have a sandwich, and do this, that's what I would like. And I've, outside of the other clinical directors, I've made some contacts in the agency. I want to give shout out to Mary Tanner, Ruth Schreider, Jim Canfield. These are people that I've met with face-to-face, many times who've offered me help. And it just made me feel more connected. And Ohio is a very big state. I'm all the way at the top. Cincinnati's all the way at the bottom. And some random things have happened that I've actually been able to meet some of the Cincinnati folks in person. Ruth had a grandbaby who was doing a gymnastics competition in Toledo. So we met up because she just happened to be in town. And such a special place in my heart, Yeah, stay plugged in. Be aggressively friendly. Make time for chit-chat. I think mindfully is a great place to work. I think that we are making a positive impact on the world. I think that therapy is a vocation. It's not just a job. And I feel really, really privileged to work with some of the finest humans on the planet. So that is what I would say.